7 o'clock, let's call the meeting to order. Let the roll call show that all councilors are present. Next on the agenda is to stand for the pledge of allegiance. But
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
so we have an agenda before us. And hold on. Is there any additions or changes to the agenda that anybody would like to mention?
I don't have anything.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
A motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carries. That brings us to the consent agenda. Is there anything anybody would like to pull from the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move 2 items from the consent agenda. First item, 4.5. I'd like to move that down to 5.1. And then 4.10, I'd like to move that down to 9.0 for some further discussion.
All right, just to take the anxiety out of it, we just want to recognize our new hire for the wastewater treatment plant instead of just throwing in the consent agenda. So it's okay. It's good. All right, anything else? All right,
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the 2 items moved.
Second.
the motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Then that carries. All right, that brings us to probationary firefighters to regular firefighter status. This will be their swearing in. So we'll have the new regular firefighters to come up here around the front, and I'll go on the other side. So we're all looking at, well, the audience is looking at the flags behind us. And will be good for pictures. Is there? I know.
Okay.
Ron, do you have a spare oath for the mayor?
All right. All right, welcome all. All right, please raise your right hand and repeat after me, except for your name. You'll say your name. All right, ready? I. Names. Do hereby solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
Hereby solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
And the Constitution of the State of Minnesota.
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota.
And that I will faithfully, justly, and impartially discharge the duties of a Princeton firefighter
And I will faithfully, justly, and impartially discharge the duties of a Princeton firefighter
for the city of Princeton,
for the city of Princeton,
County of Mille Lacs,
County of Lawrence,
State of Minnesota,
State of Minnesota,
to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God.
to the best of my knowledge and ability, so help me God.
All right, welcome.
If there's anybody that would like to pin their badge, you could do that at this time.
That's for
I'll be around. Let's do it.
Somewhere.
It'd be good if you're gonna get it. You didn't have bigger suits? It's again.
Careful.
All right, moving on. That brings us to 4.5 on the consent agenda, the hiring of Sean Asby, is that correct?
Possibly.
Osaby, wastewater treatment plant operator starting April 15th. So, like I said, we just wanted to acknowledge your presence and welcome you in person instead of quick gloss over. So,
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. Nice to meet everybody.
all right.
Thank you for
Thank you.
joining us.
Congratulations. You need a
Hmm?
motion. You need
Oh, we need a
a motion.
motion. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion.
Hiring of Sean.
Motion made and seconded. Thanks for the. Thanks for not messing that up. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries. Okay, now you're good.
Now you're official.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay or you can join the party that's out in the hall. All right, that brings us to Mille Lacs County Historical Society. Barry. Barry?
Bring it forward the balance.
Julie.
Like all those years of show and tell on Friday in grade school have finally come home to roost. I wanted to thank you all for your interest in this project. I will trot around with this briefly. I promise not to be more than 5 minutes. You can set the egg timer. This is the sign that was created to remember what we are calling historic downtown Princeton. And as part of the activity of the Mille Lacs County Historical Society, to bring the issue of history into the town instead of leaving it all locked up in the history castle of the depot. And certain projects around the depot have grown legs of their own. And this was one of those. And thanks to Bob Gerald, we've got a plan for getting this installed at the base of the clock tower downtown. We hope this will be the first of several signs that will be installed around town. The complaint is often heard by younger people that nothing's ever happened in this town. Nothing's ever going to happen. And that's why I'm leaving. Well, lots of things have happened here, just below the surface of time that we all share together. And to give you an idea of how some of these projects grow legs of their own, we were within a week of sending this off to be produced. And it was a Saturday, we're not usually open. But Justin and Amanda Johnson knocked on the door, came in. And I showed them a couple things we've been working on. They've been very strong supporters of things going on down there for decades. And the photo you see in the top left is actually an interior photo of this shop, which was sort of third from the corner. The orange star is where the clock tower is today. But we happen to have not just a nice picture of that block, this is around 1910, we believe, but we also can kind of peek inside one of those businesses, which is Hrdlicka's Jewelry Store. And I love the Hrdlicka Jewelry Store interior photo because the guy's got not just the usual run-of-the-mill pocket watches and rings and brooches, but this guy's thinking, you know, I've got an upscale clientele here. I may as well shoot for the moon, see if I can sell them a car while I'm at it. So this was very early. You can see there's no automobile tire tracks on the dirt road, which we know as Rum River Drive today. And we love both of these pictures. We're glad to present them to folks in town. You already know that the sign is the same on both sides. So should the neighborhood naughties get after the sign, we can always spin it around, and we've got another life left in this thing. It is graffiti proof, we are told, and extremely resistant to UV degradation over time. So this should be here a good long while. Further proof, I'm conscious of my time, Mr. Mayor. Further proof of the way things sometimes take a tack of their own. We were about a week away from sending this off to be produced, and we did not know the names of these people. There are 5 men in this interior photo of the Hrdlicka Jewelry Store. And, you know, 100 years later, what are the odds of finding this out? But Amanda Johnson, Justin's wife, and one of our lead pioneer school teachers said, "Oh, my great aunt's got that in her scrapbook. We know who those guys are." So a week before we're sending it out to be produced, we found the name of 4 of the 5 men from, more than a century ago. So we hope, we've got just great photos of lots of places in town, and we hope to encourage other individuals, organizations to mount similar signs elsewhere as part of recognition of the historic past of Princeton. That's all. Thank you.
I like your border.
Yeah.
Princeton Tiger.
Yeah, thanks for that. We wanted to have some sort of theme to unite, the different signs in different places in town. Very good.
So much.
Thank you, Barry.
Thanks for all you do.
Everything.
Right, that brings us to number 7. This is the open forum portion of the meeting. The public is welcomed and encouraged to comment on items that are not on the agenda. We'll limit the time to 3 minutes per speaker, and we will not be discussing any legal matters. So with that, come up to the podium, state your name, address, and let's have it. Okay. It's here for open forum, so we'll move on to old business. Ordinance 850, amendment to chapter 355, sale of cannabinoid products. This will be the final reading.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, you consider this at the March 14th meeting. There's been no changes in the ordinance as it was drafted 2 weeks ago. Staff would recommend approval of the final reading.
And this change is basically
So
a
this-
change in the distance from door to door as opposed to crow flies, correct?
Correct, and it's reducing the distance to the daycares, commercial daycares.
1,300.
Is there any, well, we can have a motion, then have discussion, or you can have discussion now if you want to. You can do service.
We're gonna do that meeting.
I'll take a motion.
The motion to approve ordinance 850.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Well, that's 4-1. That was, you're against, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that is approved. That brings us to, 8.2 related, I assume.
Yes. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, they had applied a while ago, and that's when we found that piece in the ordinance, so we wanted to amend that, so now we can approve his cannabinoid license.
Okay, and where is he gonna be?
The North Mall, right? Yeah.
No.
No, South Mall,
South Mall.
South Mall, where the, I believe the coffee corner was,
Okay, so that front
in that, yeah,
left of the hallway going in.
Okay.
correct.
All right, so we have a license for approval.
Can I, Chief Frederick, and maybe you guys remember, do we have like only one allowed in town, or can you remind us
In re-
how many licenses we are going to allow in the city of Princeton? Is there a limit? I'm trying to remember. I thought,
I think that's for the one coming. now.
That's the one,
It's for the recreational,
okay,
and that's county, I shouldn't say it's countywide, it's population based. And it's 1 per 12,500. So in Mille Lacs County, theoretically, you could have 2, because I think the county's population is about 25,000.
Yeah, there's some-
28,000.
there's some clarification that the sheriff's working on right now, for the counting piece of it, but that's, we're not the unknown factor on that piece,
Yeah.
again,
Mhm.
so.
right.
And that's a minimum of 2 that they have to approve,
I
right?
believe we can allow more than that, yes, but
But this is more of a tobacco shop with
other
some
stuff,
stuff.
yeah.
Cannabinoid.
I couldn't remember if the limit was, or the total amount was
Yeah,
listed.
this one doesn't apply to what we're assuming
Yeah.
that next one will be.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so the agenda is asking for a motion to approve this or not. So that's where we are.
Well, I did a little research on the company and it looks like he runs a really good professional business. So, with that being said, I would make a motion to approve. Fellow to the company.
We got a motion and a second. Do you need clarification who the second was?
I put that down.
Okay. All right, very good.
That's the same one in Malacca, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I did speak with the chief in Malacca, and they haven't had any problems.
Mhm.
So we have a motion and a second. A little bit of discussion. Is there more discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed? Also carries. That brings us to Wyandotte Township Fire Building.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we have representatives from Lynette present. I did send this large packet of information to them late this afternoon. Some of it was provided to the Fire Advisory Board, previously. The information that's new is, the actual, billing and payment tracking from 2018 to 2024. And so we're getting closer. There were some errors made. I have asked for some assistance from, Assistant Chief Bakari and Captain Melgren, to assist to make sure to help double check the numbers. Because I've transferred numbers from the state system to, my calculation worksheets. I want to make sure that the numbers are correct and accurate. I will say that as I continue to dig into, how the billings were calculated, it just seems to be a bit of a spaghetti mess, just because there are numbers that are appearing. I note in the memo that there's a capital contribution in, on each bill that was sent out. The Technology Services Manager Yost and I have looked at the spreadsheet that the former finance director used. We cannot determine how that, I mean, we know how it's calculated and prorated across the townships, but we can't figure out what the base number is for each year. It's not clear in the contract, how that is to be applied. So, having said that, I'm not asking the council for any action at this time. I'd like to work with the two gentlemen noted to make sure the numbers are correct, and then bring back the numbers to the council. We'll also need to develop a plan, because any refunds, overages that we collected were not budgeted for in 2024. So we'll need to come up with a plan as to how to return those monies. So, but I did want to just show that staff is making a concerted effort. Hopefully, Assistant Chief Bakari and Captain Melgren and I can meet prior to the next council meeting and have a further update. So we'll just continue to provide updates till we resolve the numbers and have a plan. Just wanted to give everybody an update. A lot of numbers to go through.
Yeah, so there certainly is a few. So Ken, you're here.
Yes.
So what we're asking you is to go through this and have, besides a having verbal discrepancies, we need some documentation from you too, if you've got something else.
Yes, and we do, and thanks for sending that out. I wasn't home today, so I was just looking at it this afternoon, and I appreciate you making a move on this. There's one thing in here that does surprise me. You want a copy of our check that we sent for the truck fund, which is not a problem. I can do that. I'm just a little surprised that you don't have a copy of that check for $143,000. I can come up with it in 10 seconds if I'm at our building.
I understand that, Ken, but
It scares me.
well, and it scares me because unless we didn't go back far enough in our general ledger, Karen spent probably 45 minutes to an hour this morning calling all of the receipts for the last 4 years relating to the truck and the fire billings.
And there was no check from us.
There's no receipts. And seriously, so unless it's before 2018, but I don't think it should be.
Okay.
So
Well, I'm not gonna make a big issue of that. I can get you a copy of
that would be
check.
very helpful because then we can,
I wish I'd have knew that
that's okay.
a
We're
little
still,
before.
I know, we're still working the numbers, Ken, but any
Okay.
help you can provide me
Okay,
to look at the
and
numbers.
yeah, and just let me know what you need.
Yep.
And that's fine.
And I think actually you've got your version of the agreed truck agreement would also be helpful. Can you attach that also to the check?
Was
Yeah,
there
I
a
should.
document that was, so Brian's gonna send me what he has that somebody sent him. That's the other piece of the puzzle I
Okay.
can't find is what was given to the townships with the
Okay.
percentages and the amounts. Cause if you see that in the information, I've recalculated it based on the net tax capacity and what I think it should be, but I don't have anything to compare what it should have been.
Okay, I'll have to review that because I don't know all what's in the file, but I know the check.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, not a problem. with
I
that.
will tell you that, some people are better filers than others.
Okay, from what I know right now, I think, Princeton owes us $40,419. And, I'll help you with the paperwork to prove that. I think Brian's been working on some of that too.
Yeah, we're gonna meet and we'll meet and go through the numbers, but
Okay. So that issue is, I have one more issue. That issue is taken care of.
yep, hang on a second. What was your number again? 143?
$40,414.
No, for the truck.
143,000 is what I remember. Now, I could be off on that a little bit. I don't think so, but
Okay.
I will find that check.
Sure you
I'm
will.
gonna be shocked if that wasn't cashed.
I'm sure it was, but
I'm sure it was too.
where it got receipted to, that's what I'm having difficulty tracking down.
Okay, I can do that. No problem. Thank you. And I have one more issue. And that's an issue that came up a couple weeks ago. We went down to our building, found out the tender was missing in our building. And this was during a time where everything was dry. And we were really concerned about fires and it wasn't replaced. So we started looking for a tender that we have an interest in and find out that it was sold on the auction. I would like to know who authorized to sell that on the auction and not come to any of us and talk to us. And I would also like to ask, is our equipment safe in there? Do we have to move our equipment out of there? Is it safe or is some of our other equipment gonna be sold?
Well, first, that's a little bit over the line if you're saying stolen. We approved that sale.
I said sold, not stolen.
Okay. I misheard. So we did approve the sale of that tender because we did. So it's, we did that. I mean, we didn't do it all by ourselves. We did that with input from the fire department. The tender is here to replace it or not?
The new one is here. We have almost the entire department trained on that truck. We expect it to go into service very shortly. In the meantime, we did move one of our other tenders out to Wynette, so we have a truck there and here.
And I admit it was kind of a misfortune. I knew you were gonna replace it. I didn't know when. We would have liked to bid on that truck. We used that truck on the road to water the road once in a while. It would get really dry. It was a lot easier for your fire trucks to get in and out, a lot smoother road. And now we don't have anything to do that with. So we would have liked to have first shot at it. That truck, if I remember right, you probably had $3,000 in it. And you sold it for 20, maybe 21,000. I'll bet you made more in that truck than any used vehicle you've sold through the fire department. And it was arrangements that was made with Jim Roxbury, Wynette Township, that we had a right to use that truck and we had some money. I can't tell you exactly how much money we had it. We did some fixtures on it. And it was used. We pumped water from Hobbenchild Farms, which has one of the biggest water sources in that area out there. I'm sure some of the firemen realize that. And that source has been used and that truck was used for that. So I would just like to know in the future, if something's happening in our building, if you could just please come and talk to us and let us know what's happening.
Well, just to be clear, this wasn't a quick decision to make. I mean, we have talked about it several times. Fire department has talked about it several times. Whether you personally were alerted of it, I don't know the answer to that. And I don't know if there's policy that we need to have to do that. Maybe there is,
Brian would have known about it.
but we didn't rush this.
And Brian did know about it. He was kind of in the same, had the same information that I did. He knew it was gonna be, traded or a new tender was coming. But he didn't realize the interest that we had in it. And I can't blame him for that because he just didn't know. That's why somebody has to ask, we're selling the tender. Just want to know your opinion and whatever, and would have said, well, yeah, we have an interest in the tender. We're interested in it. I remember back when the tender had a hole in it. Nobody liked that tender. Nobody even wanted that tender. They didn't even want to fix it when it had a hole in it. We're the ones that fought to get the hole welded up in it and keep the tender. Yet it was a vehicle out here that you made more money on than I'm betting any used vehicle you've sold through the fire department. Can you answer that, Ron? Can you state it's probably made more money on that than any used vehicle you've sold? I'm profit. I'm talking profit. And it isn't very often.
Election recalls me correct, we paid $5,000 for that from the state of Minnesota DNR.
Okay. But, so that's all. I would just like to be informed of what's going on in the building, keep me up to date. Most times we don't have any issue. We haven't had issues. That particular vehicle, we have an issue on. I'm gonna try to find out what we had in it, what fixtures on it were ours, and I'll let you know.
Ken, unfortunately, because we're a city, we can't give somebody first priority to offer us money and sell them something. We have to put it out for bid at an auction or something of that sort. So we're not able to do that for you.
And, okay, and I appreciate
First of all,
Yep.
whatever you put into that machine, that tender to water your roads, that was the agreement. Okay, so for I don't know how many years, you were able to use that piece of equipment to water your roads. That was the agreement, or whatever parts you put onto that thing. So you got what you asked for to water your roads with the parts you put into it. Okay, it was time for that tender to go, and we sold it on auction, and you guys knew about it. So you can't sit here and tell us that nobody knew about it.
Well, what did we know about?
Well,
Tell me
one of
exactly
you were-
what you think we knew
One
about.
of you were up at the auction house before it was sold. So you can't tell me that you didn't know. You had every availability to bid on that truck like anybody else. So to say you didn't have the option to bid on it is not true.
And you may be correct on that because I believe one of the township officials did look it up and follow it at the auction.
Mhm.
But do you think it's fair that you would have a discussion when you're gonna move or sell a tender or something, that you would have that discussion, at least have the discussion with us? Is that fair in me asking?
Our vehicle,
You put another tender up there after we asked you to put another tender up there. I personally didn't, but I believe Denny asked for a tender up there and that's when it was brought up. I believe we were without a tender for a period of time.
without a tender in your building. We
Correct.
had a tender in our fire station that could have been paged out and gone out to Lionette Township, like all of the other townships around us.
Well, that's why we have a satellite township, so it's closer to our area in the middle of the township. That's why we have the expenditures of having a satellite fire department at Wynett Township. We have certain vehicles in there. We like to know what's there. It was arranged years ago. If that's not working out for you or something, let us know. And we can make some changes. All I'm asking for, if you make changes in our building, that you respectively come to us and ask us if there's a problem or just our opinion. Is that too much to ask for? Evidently it is.
Well, I'm not saying that we're trying to keep stuff from you. I mean, of course, if something's happening.
Jenny didn't answer the question.
I'm still upset about the comment that you made that you have to worry about your township equipment in that building. Like, we're gonna come in there and take your equipment and go sell it on the auction. That was a really inappropriate, horrible thing for you to say in front of all of us. And I don't appreciate it.
Well,
So I'm not gonna answer your question.
okay. And there's some things that I don't appreciate too, and I think we disagree with each other on it. And, if you want to continue doing business that way, do you want to treat your township people like customers, or do you want to be a bully? If you want to be a bully, be a bully. If you don't think we're important enough to treat us with respect, just say, we don't want to do business with you anymore. You're too difficult, you're too hard. Take your stuff and go on your way, and we'll move on. If your customers are important to you, like they should be, then demonstrate that. That's all we ask for. Thank you, appreciate it.
May I actually speak on that real quick? Dan Hiller, Princeton Township. I live at 2863 50th Avenue. Wynette is requesting money back for overbilling. There's been some talks that Spencer Brook has been overbilled. What is the council planning on doing for the other townships? Are you planning on sending out additional bills where the billing was screwed up, or is the city going to keep that just so we can plan accordingly?
And I don't have so last year when I corrected the 2023 billing for the 2022 year, I did not come back to the townships and ask for the.
No, you didn't.
And so at this point, I need a little more time to work with others to figure out where everybody's at. And then we'll present a plan to the council, and I'm hoping that we can keep things moving. We've got a little momentum going now. And as soon as we have that discussion, we'll let you know. We don't have an answer tonight.
It's just, I'm hearing, Wynette and Spencer Brook, and then I don't know what's going on with Blue Hill, where Blue Hill's getting billed for last year. They're claiming that they already paid last year's. I'm just getting concerned for my township of where our fire bill is gonna be going, because. So.
I understand.
And some of your difficulties with the truck fund that you guys were talking about earlier, there were two different bills that were given to us. One was if we financed it for 10 years, and then one if we did the cash up front, and that's what Princeton Township did. We did the cash up front. If I remember right, it was 165 and change is what we gave.
That
So-
one I did find.
So that might be some of what's getting confused there, but that's my biggest concern with Princeton Township is I just want you guys to be talking to us and letting us know what's going on. And as far as the sell of that tender, possibly we could have brought that up in a fire advisory board meeting. I don't remember it getting brought up in an advisory board meeting, but if it did, my memory sometimes is not the greatest, but maybe next time you sell a piece of equipment, bring it up at a fire advisory board meeting.
And I would say also that the truck didn't disappear and get on auction the next day.
No, I remember actually, I saw it drive by my house, but no, that's.
So it was, to say that there wasn't an opportunity is, but, okay.
Yes, we will.
We didn't ask, but.
Sure.
I will definitely do my best to keep all the townships as we continue to make progress on the billing issue.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be as transparent as possible, so I don't want to bore you with the 20 pages of
No,
numbers.
I was looking at it, so.
Another thing we need everybody to understand is that the finance director that handled all of the billing retired, and then almost immediately after that had a massive medical issue, and we're not able to go back and ask questions. So that's part of the big problem, and I just need people to understand that.
Oh, I understand that fully. Our clerk quit abruptly, so I know exactly what you guys are going through. We're trying to figure some of that stuff out still. So I know what you guys are going through, but.
We just need some understanding and some patience.
Yeah.
That it's not that Michelle had no clue. We've been digging through boxes of paperwork because we don't have anyone to ask the questions.
But that's where it goes back to is anytime we ask the question, you guys always, or you yourself always said that was the Steve Jackson era. Well, yeah, that's exactly what you said in the meeting.
And that
Don't lie.
may be true, but we still have to find some basis for having a decision.
So, I mean, is it our accounting or your guys' bookkeeping that's the problem? Because it kind of seems like you guys aren't keeping very good track of your stuff. You can't find checks and whatnot. Is that the township's fault or is that the city's? I mean, why do you keep coming to the townships and saying, hey, can you provide this? Can you provide this? Can you provide this? We're your customer. You guys should have documentation of all that. We have to keep documentation. Why don't you guys have documentation?
Just so we both have documentation to keep ourselves honest.
Well, we have it. You guys don't. So what's,
We
so was it Steve Jackson or is it the entire
No,
staff?
The thing that is still working.
it's
That's enough.
not that we don't have it, but finding it is a different thing. I mean, you can go downstairs and look if you want, see what you can find out of the piles of boxes that are down there. So
Sure.
there's definitely some issues with the formula, the billing, fire budgets over the last 10 or 20 years. I mean, I've asked questions and it was a pretty murky answer all the time.
Mhm.
And the reason it was murky was to provide stability to the townships. Okay? So basically what happened for a long time is Princeton subsidized the townships, protected them from increases that you didn't like to see when we just used the formula straight out. That's been a big issue at Fire Advisory Board. Why can't you keep our thing at 5%? Well, we can if the citizens of Princeton subsidize it. We could do that, but that's not really fair either, so.
Which is the times I brought up the Steve Jackson era, because that's what he did to the city of
Well,
Princeton.
the problem is when you guys first wanted the money for the trucks, our bill was $50,000 a year. We gave you $165,000 to buy trucks. And now Princeton Township is paying almost $70,000 a year. It's going up and up and up. And you guys, it's just, at what point? I mean,
Well,
it would be a lot easier for me to swallow if Princeton Township had ownership in this department. I would really actually like to see this be a fire district and not a city-owned department anymore. Because then we would actually have a little bit of say-so. I don't see why you are hiring a fire chief at what you're paying.
I'm not opposed to that.
We all should really sit down and talk about that, because I think that would settle a lot of this if this was a fire district where everybody had equal say-so and equal ownership in the fire department.
Well,
And I would be happy to say if we put that in there, the city would get paid rent for the building. You guys own the building, you paid for the building. But at least we would have a little bit of say-so on what happens in the department. On the fire advisory board, you take advice from us, but you don't always follow our advice.
no,
So-
and that's true. And we're not necessarily gonna always follow the.
No, and I don't expect you. That's why it's called an advisory board. But I think that would solve a lot of our problems if we actually sat down and looked at this. Maybe we should switch this to a fire district, kind of like a Isani or Zimmerman, Livonia.
And that's fine, Dan. I mean, we could have that discussion and, maybe that's the way this ends up going. I don't know.
Sure. But I'm more than willing to talk with you guys.
But I'm not opposed to the idea of that.
Because I want to keep the fire department where it's at. It protects my township wonderfully. With Ken, they've got another fire department that's right there. Princeton is right there for mine, and I want to keep it. But at some point, I'm looking at the cost of the coverage. It's getting kind of high, so.
Well, the cost won't go down though, Dan. We
But,
haven't.
well, we don't know. I mean, if we had a little say-so on what we were paying a fire chief at $40-some thousand a year that you're looking at hiring, when nobody else around here pays their part-time chief that much money, why are you waving your hand at me like that? How freaking rude was that, lady? My goodness.
No, I was saying, I was gonna say something.
Rude.
Okay, so we'll put a pin in the fire district discussion, come back to that later. We have anything else on Wyandotte Township fire building that we want to talk about tonight? Or are we good?
No, we have we're making progress. There's some momentum. We need to do the next steps and we'll be back.
Okay, very good. And that brings us to, 9.0. We moved, storage rental agreement with Princeton Township down to here. So your discussion
I'm
on,
on a roll and we'll keep going, yeah. So I wanted to have more conversation about this because, in light of the recent snow that we've had, I don't know that we're gonna have as bad of a grass fire season as maybe we originally thought. With all the moisture because the ground isn't frozen, so it's all, soaking into the, anyways, what I'm trying to say is, I don't necessarily agree with putting a truck up there. How many firefighters do we have up there that it would benefit? One?
There's 5 that live or work within a couple miles of where it would be housed.
Okay. So it would benefit 5. Well, I feel a little better about that. However, I don't know where the $250 a month rental storage fee came from. It's not a satellite substation. It's not like we have a couple pieces of equipment that have been up there for years. This is a simple little temporary thing that you maybe discussed or offered up to help with response time in Princeton Township area, correct?
So this was something that we discussed as an exec board. Because of the high fire danger, before it snowed, and obviously, if we don't get any more moisture other than the snow, we're gonna be right back into that high danger again right away. As soon as this, because we said the ground is thawed, so it will absorb that moisture, exposing all of that dry grass again.
Right.
The other part of that was for medical responses too. So our thought was if we could get a truck north of town to provide faster service to the areas of Greenbush, Princeton, and Bogus Brook.
So is this a permanent thing or just during grass fire?
No, so our intent was to enter into this as basically like a month-to-month trial basis. Just to make sure that we can utilize the truck enough that it makes sense. If it's not gonna be utilized enough, then we can terminate the contract and keep the truck back in our station here in town.
so which truck is this?
It would be the Dodge pickup, the 03 Dodge Ram grass rig.
And so it's got the emergency medical equipment on board as well?
Correct. I know the week before that we got the snow, there were 3 fires that, grass fires that I went direct to, from my work, which is a mile north of where this would be housed. I was on scene for 3 to 5 minutes before we had water there. Thankfully, it didn't spread faster than what we could recover when we did get water there, but had it been wind driving it in a different direction or towards a building, because on one fire, there was a building next to the fire. If that would have been a wind driven fire, it would have been advantageous to have the water there a few minutes earlier.
Do you have a similar truck that would stay here?
Yes, we also have another grass rig and the 6-wheeler that is outfitted for grass fires here in town, and we've got another one out in Wynette.
And the 6-wheeler is trailered, right?
Correct.
I don't, just thinking outside the box and trying to solve a problem, I guess I'm okay with going forward. I don't know where the $250 a month comes from, but
Well, I don't either. I mean, they're paying for us to give them a service and now we would be paying $250 a month to give them better service.
So
our fire covered bill is gonna be negotiable next year? Thank you.
So that number, came about, Michelle was at the exec board meeting when we had discussed this. I discussed it further with, representative from Princeton Township. They did make a comment that they would like some kind of compensation to just, for the housing of it. It's minimal expense on their part, but for electricity and stuff like that, because we always have to keep the radios charged, battery in the truck, et cetera. So then when I came back to Michelle, discussed it with her further, between the discussion with Princeton Township and Michelle, that's how that number came up.
Well, I'm not actually asking about how you came up with $250. I'm wondering where the $250 comes from us.
We'll have to look at it from a, either a professional services expense or, repairs and maintenance. I mean, we don't have a specific line item for this particular issue. I mean, I have no idea where Steve pulled the money from when, we prepaid the lease at Lynette. So we'll look at the budget and we'll find a spot for it.
Well, the one other thing I'd like to point out, Josh, you said for medicals, and I remember almost every single fire advisory board meeting after Mr. Hiller got on the fire advisory board, not wanting the fire department to respond to medicals.
It's,
Okay, hold on. If you're gonna put words in my mouth, that is not what I said.
it wasn't that, they didn't not want us to respond to medicals, period. They wanted us to try to eliminate some of the medicals that we were responding to where we weren't needed. Since then, I had a conversation with the fire advisory board at our last meeting, and got their blessing to discuss this further with, both Isanti County and Mille Lacs County so that they could figure out ways to dispatch us, and be more thorough on their questioning when they're fielding a call, so that we're not going to have to respond to as many medicals that where we're not needed. Until that happens, we're still responding to a lot of medicals, and that is out of our control at this time.
And you talked about that at the last fire advisory board meeting,
Correct.
and it looked like there was work towards a solution on that.
Correct.
Okay, so my question was to us, basically, where is the $250 coming from? Answered sufficiently. And I assume it has to be a heated building. So I mean, there's utilities and the $250 is not a huge amount, but I think it's worth trying to do.
And then what do we do when the next township wants trucks over there for another $250 a month?
No,
Well, and that's something that's
do
up to the discretion of the fire department and the fire chief, because at the same token, we don't want to spread ourselves too thin in town. 'Cause that's where the bulk of our response is.
we'll try it, see what it's like. That's, well, my opinion is try and see what it's like, see how it works. I mean, this has been negotiated enough already, I think, so whether we want to do it or not, I guess that's our.
Well, the clarity for me, it's a trial to see if it's viable to even do it. It's not specific for grass fires.
Correct.
But
It
it's
would
not
respond
the
to
real intent.
grass fires.
Again, I think we have to look at Princeton Township, right on US Highway 169, which is a more highly susceptible area, probably medicals, be my guess, you know. More likely to have car accidents and such. I agree with the mayor. I think it's worth giving it a try, see what happens. I don't know how you measure it, but
250 gallon tank on the truck?
What's that one? 200? 200.
That'd be much bigger than that.
200.
So any size of a grass fire, you're gonna need another truck there.
Absolutely.
So this is like getting a little fire out before it gets to be a big fire, right?
Yeah, the intent would be to either, depending on the wind and fuel load, either hit the head or the flank of the fire or protect the structure while other trucks could show up. To try to slow it down.
So at the risk of entering in a larger conversation, I just have one question about medicals. What is the minimum amount of personnel that have to respond to a medical?
We don't have a minimum, a standard. We like to see 2 people go out in a truck. But but we don't have necessarily a minimum. I mean, there was, several calls that, Ron took on his own as one person when he was, chief. So it can be, one person can make a difference,
Okay. so-
especially with the equipment that's on the truck.
But two is acceptable. Even by our policies or state standards or whatever. That's correct.
Yeah, we do like to see two people go on the truck.
I would agree with that. I would like to see more than one person out if possible too. Okay, that was an aside. That was for my personal edification, so.
No, the storage unit already heated.
Yes,
So it's got the heating and the electrical and all that.
Yep.
Okay.
they used to store their plow truck in there, in that garage.
All right. Any more discussion on this? We have I guess we need a motion to move forward.
I'll move approval. How do you want to say it?
Storage rental agreement with Princeton Township.
Second.
Motion made and second, additional discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Aye.
That's 4-1. All right, let's see how it works. See if you can come up with a metric to evaluate it somehow. I don't know what that is.
We'll work on it.
All right, perfect. All right, that brings us to 4:11, we're down here in 9 something now.
9-1.
Donation from Tux.
So, Mr. Mayor and council members, there's a donation that Tux would like to make to the fire department, which we would greatly appreciate. We are in need of some new gas monitors, 4 of them, 2 different models specifically. I spoke with Tux and they have reached out and wanted to take care of that expense for the fire department.
This is the so-called generic gas monitor, so you don't know what the gas is, they're just a bad gas, or is there,
So
is this?
two of the monitors are 4 gas monitors, so they measure carbon monoxide, different gases, or hazardous atmospheres that we enter, whether it's confined space or going into a building, residential or commercial. The other 2 are single gas monitors. They're strictly for carbon monoxide, which is it's invisible. You can't smell it. It's a deadly gas. And fortunately, for our firefighters, we responded to a call recently where somebody was down and unconscious. Our firefighters went in to assist them, and thankfully, one of our seasoned firefighters saw the telltale signs, pulled everybody out. It was a high carbon monoxide environment, and that's why the person was down. It was a fatal call. So the exec board we discussed it, and we want to implement this single gas monitor on every call when we go into a building for medicals or whatever, so that we know what kind of environment we're working with.
So these are basically gonna be on the engines?
So the engines will have the
Housed
4
in
gas.
them or whatever?
Yep. And then the single monitors would be in medical response rates. 1 at Wynett and 1 at the station here.
Well, it's a fantastic donation and I'm thankful for that.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for clearing those questions up.
Absolutely.
Want to make a motion to approve resolution 24-15?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion? I haven't seen a donation from Tux before, so big thank you. I'll move on to the vote. All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Also carries. We come to the Rum River Festival portion of our meeting. Special event permits.
Good evening, I'm Kim from the Chamber. This is Stephanie from Colorful Zen and Blue Ribbon Events. Okay, got it. And I just made a really quick 4-slide, presentation, I guess, just to show you, we have a lot going on this year with the Rum River Festival, more than usual. So I just, put together kind of day by day what we're doing, so then you can just interrupt and ask questions that you might have, about things that we have going on. So Ed, you can go ahead. Thursday, is when this is kind of our regular day that we always have. Not much is changing. Medallion hunt, citywide garage sale. As you can see through these slides too, you can see how this is really a community effort, truly a community effort. The American Legion sponsors the Medallion hunt. Barry, who spoke earlier, helps us with the clues. And then Small Business Casual does the citywide garage sale, and then the chamber hosts the Rum River Festival Parade. This year, our Grand Marshal is gonna be Chief Frederick. We have,
I haven't accepted that.
yes, you have.
Yes. We had a meeting to accept
I can't find a driver, so.
We got that all arranged.
Yeah, we've already figured that out.
I thought this was gonna be the
We just, I presented to the board that Todd goes above and beyond for us on many of the things that we do. Rum River Festival being one of them, Light Up Princeton being another. And he attends countless meetings with us. He helps, kick everybody off in the parade as we go along. And so, we're just really thankful for everything that Todd and the entire police department does for us. So, okay, that's the first day. Friday, Medallion hunt continues, garage sale continues, and we have the world's largest rubber duck that will be on display. It comes Thursday, but it's gonna be on display starting Friday. It's gonna be located in the Bremer Bank parking lot. And so there'll be part of Second Street, probably a little over half, would you say, of that street? So from 4th Avenue up until where you enter into the mall parking lot, it will be blocked off on the street there. And so we'll have some food trucks there, 5 probably. And then the rest of that whole area will be, the duck is totally enclosed and with barricades, and then the rest will be a viewing area. And I've talked to the duck guy, Craig, and because we wanted to put some sponsors in there, and he just said, we're gonna need that entire area for crowds. We put an event out on Facebook just to kind of say, hey, this is coming, nothing big. And we've had over 6,500 people respond to that event without putting any boosting or any money behind it at all. We haven't spent any marketing dollars on it yet, and we are getting responses from all over different states. And the man that owns the duck said this was gonna happen. So, we're looking to have a large amount of people in town. He said it'll bring a significant economic impact to our community. He suggested we get it downtown as much as possible so that people can walk to the restaurants, go shopping, and spend money in our community. And so that's our hope. And so at the same time that that's going on, Stephanie's gonna be hosting a vendor fair, craft fair, and I'll let her kind of talk about that.
We had done that last year as well, so kind of just doing the same thing, about 45 crafters in the mall parking lot there, Friday and Saturday, and then we'll share it Saturday with the farmer's market.
And you're full, pretty much. Yeah, and it's just March, so that's pretty good. We just get phone calls at the chamber every week about people wanting to be a part of this, so you wouldn't think that a blow up rubber duck would be such a big deal, but it turns out it is. I think Brian Jolson was here before the council recently to talk about the Minnesota Twins baseball camp that's coming. That'll be going on during the festival. The Unicycling Unicorn will be performing in the area where the farmers market will be on Saturday. On Friday, he's going to perform there. He's actually trying to break a world record of performing on a 50-foot unicycle. I think he's having a 37-foot one built right now. I just can't imagine this, but so he'll be performing. Then we have our Lucky Duck Drop down at the Riverside Park on Friday night. Splash Park is going to be open for free from 6 to 8, hosted by the City of Princeton and Community Ed. And then of course we have the races that are going to be going on Friday as well. So busy Friday. Go ahead, Ed. Saturday, continue with the medallion hunt if no one's found it. Garage sale continues, and then Saturday morning we have our Rum River Festival 5K. That goes down 4th Avenue, past, I don't know, the gate there down by the water treatment plant. It's just an out and back. They kind of curve back there and come back in front of the library. So it's a really easy route, which we like, and we've gotten good feedback on that as well. The farmer's market will be going on, the craft fair, the duck will still be up. Ladies Local is a local group of retailers that do some special events, and they'll be doing one that Saturday. Food trucks on the farm will be hosted by Brickton Genetics. And then we're gonna have another group performing their dance caravan. Apparently they're made up of dancers from the area, and they perform at the Renaissance Festival. So they like to do these kind of things for free, just to kind of practice to get ready for the Renaissance. So they'll be performing. And then the Unicycling Unicorn is gonna perform again. He's gonna perform again on Saturday. Next. Okay, Sunday, sorry. And then the fly-in drive-in breakfast for the Lions will go on again this year. It'll be the last day of the world's largest rubber duck display. We would like to do a Duck Duck Jeep photo event on Sunday, because there not be a vendor fair. We won't have the food trucks and the sponsors. It'll be a little bit less crowded down there. So we're gonna keep that area blocked off, but we'd like to, Jeeps do a Duck Duck Jeep thing where people share little rubber ducks with other Jeeps when they see them parked. And rubber ducks are a big thing with Jeep owners. And so we would like to do an event where the Jeep owners can come in and have their photo taken in front of the big duck. But we need volunteers. So I put up there tentative because I can't run it by myself. So unless we get some volunteers, we won't do that unless we get the volunteers covered. So we haven't announced that except for here. So we'll wait and see if we get that. And then the Garden and Standard tractor pull at the Mille Lacs County Fairgrounds will kind of round the day.
All right, well, it sounds like a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff going on this year.
We'll remind them the duck is 6 stories tall, right?
Over 6 stories.
Yeah.
Yep,
Nice and big.
yep. So it'll tower over any building in Princeton.
Okay, any questions for Kim?
I'm tired just listening to her.
Me too.
All right, so I guess we're going through these one at a time for the special event permits. So start with the, we gotta make this smaller again, now so I can actually see what's in there. Permit for the festival itself, I think, correct? Is that the first thing?
Parade.
Parade.
Parade, all right, there it is. I thought it was the parade, but then I couldn't see it in the edit. All right. Need a motion to approve the special event parade.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded for that special event. Any questions? All in favor? Aye, opposed? All right, so
I should have brought this up earlier. I see a thing in here about requesting that the fees be waived. So we didn't say anything about that. I don't know if we're waiving the, is that the $50 application fee?
No, I did pay that.
yeah, there's a check that's listed on it, so.
Oh, because where did I see that?
Yeah, it is on the agenda. So I wasn't sure if there were other things.
Yeah, it says because it's a citywide event, the council has in the past waived the fees for the items listed on.
Yeah,
the special event permit.
Because staff is not authorized to waive the fees. Kim has paid the fees.
Okay.
So the council, if they make the motion to waive the fees, will just refund the money. So,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, but technically staff shouldn't be just
Sure.
making arbitrary decisions.
I'll make a motion to waive the fees for the parade.
Second.
Motion made and second to waive the $50 fee? Yes. Any questions on that?
Is that the only fee they pay? They pay the one fee for everything, or they pay?
No, there's gonna be, if you wanted just to make a blanket motion that you're waiving all of the fees for the events, that would be sufficient, because I think there's a fee related to each application.
Yeah, Stacy she was just gonna have me write one application for the festival, but there's so much per day. I did 3 applications for one for each day, basically. And and since we're talking about this too, with the police department, they, you call it like a black day, Todd, or whatever, and on the Rum River Festival Parade where that's kind of everyone has to be there and
Should be blackout.
yeah, blackout day. And then Saturday with the world's largest river duck, we're expecting big crowds too. And so, you know, there are probably gonna be extra police required for that event too.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a phenomenal event. We want to support it, but we'll be busy. So,
And Randy
Guys,
Hatch is
guys are-
gonna be camping out.
what's that?
Randy Hatch is also gonna be camping out
Randy
as
will be
security.
hired as security
Yeah.
specialist, so he'll be monitoring the duck.
Yeah.
Security special.
Mhm.
Did we vote? We didn't vote on it
We
yet.
didn't vote, so
No,
I changed my motion to waive the fees for all of the events for the Rum River Festival. Okay, I will make a motion to change my motion. To waive all the fees.
All right, who seconded it before?
Vicky did. Vicky.
Vicky, and you're good with this, good with that, Vicky?
Oh, definitely,
All right,
yeah.
all right, so then the new motion is to just waive all of the Rum River Festival fees for the Chamber of Commerce. Okay. Good enough?
Okay, fine then.
All right, all in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye, opposed? That carries. All right, moving on. So we got the parade taken care of. And so now we have a road closure. I guess we're still on the parade. All right, closing Rum River Drive.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2414 to close Rum River Drive.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion on that.
So we asked the county, they have that.
It's, yep, because it's a county road.
Technically, it would be Rum River Drive and First Street.
But we have to initiate the.
Correct. Has to come from us.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye, opposed? Also carries.
5K maybe?
No
road closures for that one.
Yeah, we don't.
That's just the city street, but it's still a special event, so we're onto the duck.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion made and seconded for, I guess we're closing a street for the rubber duck, right?
Mhm.
That's what we're doing.
Yep,
Second
second.
Street, so half a
Yep.
block.
Half a block, right? Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Aye, opposed? Also carries. 5K.
Make a motion.
You make a motion?
We have to make a motion to.
Motion made and a second. Any discussion on 5K? I like the rough, by the way. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right, hearing no discussion, all in favor of the special event 5K, say aye. Aye. Aye, opposed? Also carried. Crafted vendor fair, you did more than 3.
I did that one.
Oh, you did that one, okay. All right, we got a vendor fair. This is in south parking lot.
Yes, so it would close the back half of it, I guess. We're gonna, the front part, there's a dialysis in that mall. So we need to be able, people need to be able to get in there and out, so that right up against the building will be open, and then they can come around the next row, and the rest of it to Rum River Drive will be closed. If that makes sense.
There are barricades there.
So the Mille Lacs County Fair Board is allowing us to use some of their personnel barricades. We'll have barricades, and it'll be, as Kim indicated, from the north end to the south end to include the vendor fair as well as the farmer's market. And then when the farmer's market's not there, then we'll just be. It's the same signage from last year, you know, that we had. We haven't changed anything in regard to the dimension.
All right, did we do a second motion yet? Not motion for the vendor there. Motion made in second. Any more discussion?
We want to waive that fee too.
Yeah, we're waiving all the fees.
Well, we didn't, we kind of said Princeton Chamber, but,
I think that should be included.
I'm okay with that, I think.
It's part of the festival, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Put that way on the feet.
All right. You okay with that? You second, right?
No, I thought I meant we started being charged.
No, yeah, we changed it, so it's good to say it out loud, so.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, all in favor of the special event for the craft and vendor fair? Aye.
Right.
Aye, opposed? All carries. All right. I'm tired.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Thanks for all your hard work, Kim.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to park dedication fees for Princeton residential suites.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Yep, yeah. 9 through the very bottom, yep. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we have Mr. Briggs, from Punta Gorda, Florida, via Zoom, Teams. He has requested.
Hold on, he's muted.
He's muted. Pat can hear us.
Okay, how about now? How about
Perfect.
now?
Yes, you're good. Oh, there we go.
Hello, everybody.
So, oh, go ahead, Pat.
I just wanted you to know that I can see everybody and I can hear everybody, so I just wanted to, make sure that I let you know.
Okay. Mr. Briggs has submitted a request, which is, his letter to the park board is in the packet. I have put together, a memo summarizing the actions of the park board from Monday evening. We calculated, based on his total number of units for phases 3 and 4 of Princeton residential suites at $298,800. Mr. Briggs is requesting a reduction in that amount to $101,758 based on the phase 1 and 2 portions of his project. The park board considered his request, and they went back to their August 28th, 2023 action, which was to accept $264,600, which was based on 62 units in phase 3 and 85 units in phase 4, as opposed to the 66 and 100 units that is currently being reviewed and awaiting a building permit at this time. So with that, that's the summary. And Mr. Briggs, I'll turn the floor over to you if you'd like to add something.
Thank you, Ms. McPherson. Thank you for giving us a summary. And in addition to that summary, I wanted to also share with you that, and I didn't get a chance to share this with you on the phone today, but I did find an email back when Mr. Barbarian, is that correct, the last name? Barbie? What was the last name? I remember Bob. I just apologize. I don't remember his last name, but I will say Bob. So I found the email and that was back prior to, or during, I think, no, prior to phase 1 with Rum River Residential Suites regarding the park recreational fees. And at that time, the park was using 12%, I saw in that email back then, 12% of the land value. And the land value was about 500,000 per phase. And so that number came out to approximately 60,000 per building. And what we did is based on that dollar amount, we mutually agreed to 30,000, which was about half of that dollar amount. And that was based on the larger number of units. At that time, it was projected as land value. That's how it was calculated, but it came out to about half. So we utilized the same fee, which comes out to about $600 per unit for phase 3 and phase 4. And, and so that dollar amount, really was really less than what we're asking for this evening. And we've been in these conversations with many municipalities over the past 20 years. We just had one with Elk River about 24 months ago, and it was on the former Saxon car dealership site. And one of the ways that their council members dealt with it with their park and rec board was they didn't want to take away from where they were going. So they capped the dollar amount per unit based on, being exceeding, as an example, 50 units or plus. Then what they did is they, capped it at a certain dollar amount. So trying to accommodate both parties right now, and our challenge right now is going in at the current rate, our park fee is tripling per unit. We were at 600 per unit on phase 1 and 2, which was a check for $60,000 to the park and fee general fund. And on phase 3, we would be writing a check for $59,400 for 66 units. That's what phase 3 is. And then another 90,000 when phase 4 would go in for building permit application, which would be approximately 24 months. And there's really no right or wrong answer or anything. And I want to just elaborate on that. It's one of those discussions where I just had a 150 unit building approved in Monticello 60 days ago. And that park dedication fee is $42,000 for that 150 unit building. We built a 47 unit about 4 years ago in Monticello downtown, and we put in sidewalks in front of our building in lieu of the park dedication fee. And then you have other cities that charge more and other cities that charge less. So it's a tough discussion. What it comes down to for us is on phase 3, we have just, we're at a point where we're past our rate of return on the project where it's not financially, it's the project can't support it. And we already have the sworn construction statement, everything's into the bank. And the rate of return is, it's under 1.5%. So if it wasn't for averaging dollar cost averaging phase 1 and phase 2 with phase 3, we wouldn't even be talking this evening about it. So we're trying to get the project off the ground currently, which is very difficult. Our interest rate is 8.5% right now. In phase 1 and 2, it was 3.5%. So, and of course the costs have went up in some of our other line items, but they certainly haven't tripled. In this line item, they've tripled. And so we're saying, okay, how do we try to, based on this experience we've had in developing these size of projects, in this case, Rum River Residential Suites will be over 250 to 300 units by the time it's all built out. And so it's very rare to have a large development like that. And it does make some sense, as Mr. Beck said, the city attorney in Elk River said, it does make some sense to have a graduated scale or capping some fees. And there's nothing statutory that, doesn't allow you, not to do that. So with that being said, all of our vendors in closing have all come down on all of their prices to get this project off the ground. And, and so we're at a point where we would really like to write a check for the park board with the building permit application, which is waiting for us. But at some point you just have to put projects like this on pause, in which we've got other projects that we've had to do that with currently. And we're at a point where we're thinking, how can we come up with a win-win-win solution? And one of the things my wife said tonight is she had said, well, let's sponsor the splash park. And I said, well, that's a great idea, you know, because once we can get up and running, we can do those kinds of things, you know. So, and I said, well, how much is that? And it ended up being about $300 a day. And I'm like, well, we need to do better than that. But at least that's the idea of trying to, can we, you know, maybe sponsor it every month, you know, for the next, you know, X number of years, as an example, you know, in May and June or something, and to contribute towards something like that. So in any event, in closing, I just wanted to make sure that I was able to explain the history, you know, the present, and then just the future and where we're trying to go. And we understand that there's a lot of different opinions in this situation, and we just respect all of them. And with that being said, we'd like to turn it over to you.
So Pat, before, just to clarify, so, based on your email of March 20th, you're looking at $613 per unit for phase 3 at 66 units of $40,458.
Yeah, the only thing I was wrong on that is that it really should be more than that, Michelle, because when I went back and looked at the minutes from Bob's email on September 28th of 2020, the park board reduced half of that fee from 60 to 30. So realistically, I think it would be fair right now for us to pay $900 a door, which would be a total of $150,000 roughly, which is about $900 per door. So it's another 50, actually it's another 59,000 more than what we talked about this morning.
So you're looking at, okay, so you're looking, I just want to make sure I'm doing the math. So you're looking at $900 times 66 units.
That's correct.
So that's 59,400, and then another
90,000.
100. Yeah, I know. I'm just doing the math because I'm tired. So 90,000, 59,400. So a total of $149,400, which is 50% of what would be required. Right in the middle.
But that's not what the park board agreed with, right?
No, so, I was at the park board meeting, and, their concern is that, I don't even know where to start. It was a really lengthy conversation. Back when Bob did the proposal and figured out the amount, it was way below what everybody else in the area was charging. So I don't know who did the study, Michelle. Do you know? Do you remember? Was it the park board? Or
yeah, so
was it staff? Did a study to find out how we compare and realize we were way below what everybody else was doing.
Well, we were also doing it in a rather odd manner.
Right.
The previous way we calculated park dedication fees, which was the first time that I had ever seen it, because I was used to doing it based on a per unit, whether it's multifamily or single family. There was the way that we calculated it prior to 2021 was it was a percentage of the land value. And I don't know, to be perfectly honest with you, who determined the land value. So that was how phases 1 and 2 were determined. Then, I believe that between a member of the park board and staff at the time in 2021, We surveyed surrounding communities to see how they did their park dedication and realized that, well, we can't charge as much as, say, in Elk River or Monticello because those market conditions are different. So they basically looked at it and then picked the number, which is $1,800 a unit. So that's how they arrived at the $1,800 per unit. And that's, I believe that's the same regardless of, yeah, so residential, it's $1,800 per unit regardless of whether it's single family or multifamily. And then under a commercial and industrial situation, it's $1,800 for the first acre and $1,000 for each additional acre. So they basically set a flat rate for the park dedication. So Mr. Briggs, his initial request would have been a 2/3 reduction. He's now coming back to this body and saying he would like to pay only $900 per unit as opposed to $1,800 per unit. And so I think that summarizes it.
I think so. The other thing that was mentioned at the park board was that this information was given, early enough prior to getting ready to work on phase 3 and 4, right? Like they're saying that.
Correct. Pat, do you remember getting the information in August from the park board meeting?
I don't, but that's not to say it wasn't sent but I really don't. I was doing another project in Clearwater at that time, so I wasn't, I just don't, but I know that in my sworn construction statement, I had the same dollar amount per unit as we agreed on in phase 1 and phase 2, which at that time was based on land value, as you had previously mentioned. So that's how we did our sworn construction statement.
Will there be no?
I seem to remember.
There's
Sorry.
Councilor Gerald had a question. There's a total of 166 in this phase.
In this phase.
Total
with all 4 phases.
Okay, so the first 2 buildings, Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, they're both 49 units?
Yeah, they're about 100 units, yeah.
Okay,
98,
so-
yeah.
And then phase 3 is 66.
Okay.
And phase 4 is 100, so he's got roughly 260 units.
266 units.
Yep.
Okay. So, and I think the park board's concern too is 266 units, anywhere from 2 to 4 people per unit, and how many people are, going to be moving in and utilizing the park with the wear and tear. One of the other concerns that they had Mr. Briggs was we pulled out the site plans. And on there, we saw a little drawing of a fishing pond, but nowhere on your site plans did we see the playgrounds that you said are proposed. So I guess they were kind of concerned they weren't in the drawings. And then like, what type of playgrounds were you planning to put in? Like, are we talking significant playgrounds, or are we talking just a couple swing sets, or what? There was no information regarding what type of playgrounds you had in your proposed phases.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up those items of discussion. Number 1, with the playground, we didn't have our Rainbow Playset playground that is behind phase 2 right now. We didn't have that on our site plan at the time either. And we also have a pet area that we put in with P-Rock, and then we fenced it. We didn't have that on there at that time, at the time we did that site plan either. With phase 3, the Rainbow play set, which is why we choose that, is then we can add on like certain, you can just add on certain components every year and just build upon it. So that's why we chose Rainbow. And with phase three, it's right outside the screened-in porch on the north elevation, right in the middle of the building. And at first, we were gonna put it on the west side, but then that was too close to the pet area, so then we moved it back to the screen porch area. And so that's where that's gonna go. We just we just finished our final landscape plan with Greenscapes last week, and then that's where we incorporated that to fit in there. We're gonna have it raised up with some retaining, like a foot off the ground, so it'll build up a little bit, and that's where it's gonna go. And then another thing I wanted to mention is, some other members in other communities, as I'd mentioned with park dedication fees, some are really low, some are really high, so everybody's trying to just try to get into the middle of what makes sense to them based on a number of factors. And one of those is, you had mentioned, with the single family residence, you have 3 to 4 occupants usually in a single family residence being charged the same fee. And our clientele at Rum River Residential Suites in phase 1 and phase 2 is, we have primarily studios and 1 bedrooms and some 2 bedrooms, and we don't have any 3 bedrooms. And our average client is probably maybe 50, 45 to 50 years old. And it's, I would say, average is 1 per unit for our clientele. So, and there were some discussions, about that being the case. It should be kind of a graduated, it makes some sense, when you're comparing the same price per unit as you are to a house as a studio apartment. So I just wanted to respond with that as well. Thank you.
So the agreement in August was 264, right? But then they added more doors. He added a couple more units. So that would have brought it up to 298.8. So what the park board felt was fair was going back to the 264 and not charging more for the extra units that were added, just so you guys understand that. Tom, you have some questions?
No, I was just,
Oh.
So I was kind of looking at, Pat had mentioned a couple of times about, he was thinking that, and whatever his number was, 900 per unit. If you average what the park board is proposing, their recommendation, plus the original park dedication fees for 60,000 for the first 98 units. If you take those two numbers, the 264.6 plus the 60,000 divided by the total number of units in there, we're getting down to 1,200. I guess what we set our fee schedule at 1,800. So I think that we're not doing too bad as far as the per unit amount going with park board recommendation. And I seem to remember a conversation with regarding the original park dedication fees, how the park board felt kind of cut out of the loop a little bit on that discussion. I don't know, they're looking out for us on the park side, and to not take their proposal is kind of at our peril as well. So I don't want to move too far from their numbers, so I don't know what anybody else thinks. That's my opinion.
I feel the same way. I think I like their recommendation, and I don't want to micromanage our commissions and our boards because they obviously have knowledge. I don't know. Park board.
Oh, this was this number.
Pat and his company are providing park space on property as well.
Are we gonna talk about the numbers that Mr. Briggs brought up tonight now? He added some numbers in there, that's what we're gonna be
Yeah,
talking
he went
about.
from 100 to 149.4 is what he's asking
A
us.
little bit. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the council has essentially three options. You have the recommendation from the park board, which is $264,600. You have what the ordinance requires, which is $298,800. Or you have, Mr. Briggs's new offer of $149,400, which is half of what the ordinance requires. So you basically have three options in my, my reading of the room is, those are your options.
Or something else.
Let's not go someplace else. At least the numbers before us have some logical connections to the ordinance and or the development.
So basically, he's asking for a reduction of $115,200 off what the park board
Correct.
is okay with.
I would say we do need to listen to the recommendation of the park board.
Well, this isn't the only ask on this project. Right?
No, we got a tip.
Correct. Mr. Briggs is, we have executed the development agreement for the 26 years of housing TIF district for both phases 3 and 4, as well as phases 1 and 2.
So how many years was 1 and 2?
26.
You know, I think you bring up a good point though. And I think we get caught up in this and many other things, because one size fits all. And he makes a very valid point, an apartment building probably is not gonna generate uses of the parks, where you think a family home with 2 or 3 kids. And I think it's a valid point, not to say they still aren't obligated to, you know, pay a share, obviously, in the city development. But that's another discussion probably.
And he has providing park space on property.
Well,
I remember in between. All
right, here's my last little foray into my calculator here. So if we're talking about 166 units. 12 months times 26 years, you end up with 51,792. And we're talking about a change of $120,000. It comes out to like per unit, $2 a month. For the difference of what he's at. So I guess it could go either way, but, the infusion of cash for the parks program, you know, is pretty important for $2 per month per unit over the course of the day. And it's a small number. I'll understand. I think we should go with the park board recommendation. I'll make a motion that we go with the park board recommendation.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded We go with the slightly reduced. Park dedication fee of 264.6. We have a motion and a second. Is there more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All right. Aye. Opposed? Carries. Thanks, Pat. We'll be
Thank you. Have a
talking.
good evening, everybody.
Yeah,
thank
thanks,
you.
Pat. Have a good time.
All right. Warning siren.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Let you know your emergency management team has been working on a few different projects. Before you tonight is one of them on the warning sirens. We've looked at our warning sirens. We've gotten some input from our technician, our company that sells them and maintains them. And we got some quotes for improving two of them and purchasing a fourth siren for the city. And we'll be doing some testing on where that fourth siren should go. So part one would be the new siren. Our biggest complaint that we have received is out in the industrial park. So that area we'll be looking at doing some testing to see where that siren should go. We're kind of leaning out that way. Where exactly, we don't know yet. So he does have a special on. It's the last quote in there for $32,550 for the siren. We looked at that. We do have a pole acquired, the pole that the beacon used to be on from the airport. We believe that will work. He's good, our technician's gonna look into it further, but he's gotten pictures and information about it. By having that pole removed, and if we elect to not go with solar power, that quote in there for the cost then goes down to $26,350. The two sirens, pull my map up, please, sir.
Absolutely.
So on the map that you have in your packet, you'll see the center siren, which is on First Street by the Public Utilities Building, is upgraded already. The first siren north on 12th Street is an older siren, and the siren down by McDonald's is an older siren. By upgrading those two cabinets on there, they would project the range out to the green. So if you look inside the green, there's a red line inside. That's on a normal, clear, non-windy, perfect day. That's where they should be sounding to. Our problem is we have Highway 169 with traffic that deters that sound from getting to the industrial park. So if we upgraded the two boxes on the north and south end, the new projected radius would be the green lines, and that's about 800 feet out farther than the red line. So just figure 3 football fields. So the quote for that was $20,735. With that being said, we did have a CIP up to $45,000 this year. And if we can get the pole and the solar not part of it, that would bring us to $47,085. The team working with Administrator McPherson has decided that the extra and up to $5,000 we could pull out of the emergency management budget to complete both of these projects this year. It could all be done by the end of April. Hopefully no severe weather happens before May. We don't know. But it's pretty important. And then he did tell me last year, the cost of the sirens went up 8 to 10% for this year. So by having the sale on, the minimum we'd be saving is $13,000 by doing everything this year. By increasing from 45 to 50,000.
So we're replacing, we're upgrading 2 sirens?
Correct, the one up on 12th Street and the one down by McDonald's on Northland. Those cabinets at the bottom would get replaced. The siren itself stays the same. It's upgraded technology inside those cabinets. So those 2 cabinets would be replaced. When he comes out and meets with us in April, he's gonna bring a bucket truck along with a siren We'll be able to put it in the air and test and see where the best location for the fourth siren should be. Which would probably be out towards the industrial park, maybe the public safety building.
Yeah, I think, like Ron said, Mr. Mayor, the problem we're having with that forest siren is we don't have a map to really evaluate how to deal with the highway. So we need to get that bucket truck and we need to get the siren up and actually have, us Bob's guys, officers go to various areas in the city and see if we can actually hear it. Along with, we're interested to see how much it penetrates inside of the building. We wanna obviously try to make sure we're taking care of those population areas, with like the workforce, the industrial park is pretty heavy during the week. And so we wanna make sure that we're getting those sirens inside there. So that's the biggest piece, is getting that truck here and getting that siren out.
Okay, so what are we talking about trying to approve now? Just the 2 sirens or also the 2 upgrades plus another?
The 2 cabinets to be upgraded and a new siren.
How important is the solar?
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that.
So the solar piece, I've asked our technician to send me some names of companies towns that have used the solar. He's very confident in the solar piece. I think depending on where we had to locate this siren, do we go solar if that's cheaper than trying to run electricity to that pole? So that's why we kind of cut the solar at first and it's kind of been like, well, what's gonna be better here? He said he has never had an issue with any of the solar panels he's put on any warning sirens or poles. So is it less maintenance too to have a solar panel versus electricity?
Well, these quotes include the solar panels, correct? Or
The one for 26,350
yeah,
does not include solar and it does not include the pole. The one for 32,550, the sale brochure he sent me, that includes everything.
So the solar is just going on the 4th siren.
Correct.
But if you're going and you're gonna put it somewhere where there's backup generators, the solar that important?
And that's what we're questioning. It kind of depends on where we put that fourth siren.
That's the light bulbs that keep flickering in our heads.
We've asked a lot of questions and we keep kicking this back and forth. And when we look at it, and you look at everybody goes solar while it's cloudy. If you look at, and that's why we requested, give us some feedback from patrons who have solar and the success or failure rate. That's what we need to understand so that we can give, so we have a wise choice.
Our worry was like, for example, the speed trailer that we use out in the, we actually were using it a little bit in the winter here and we got less than half of use out of it with the solar because it just wasn't sunny enough for a long period of time. So that was the first question that popped in our head is, does that solar piece give us that enough security and power to provide that siren at any time?
So there must be some battery that's involved, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're looking at locations where electricity is nearby. And a lot of this stuff we plan to do in-house, putting in the base. If we have to put in electric, we'll dig the trench, we'll put in the conduit. We'll get an electrician to run the power to it if that's the route we go.
Counselor Joe?
yes, you said the $26,000 quote did not include the solar, but I see $1,800 solar, 2 80-watt solar panels.
That should not be on there because the email he sent me, he said he took the solar off.
Oh, I see. He's got it under here. Cost would be 1,800, but then over on the other column, it shows 0. So it would be $1,800 to do it.
Correct, to add the solar.
Okay, so do we know what the cost would be to run power out to the pole wherever we install this?
We do not know because we do not know where the pole is gonna be for sure. It could be in front of Phillips where there's a siren now that's not operable. We've also been looking at the potential growth out by New Life Church. If that does go, You know, do we need to move closer to the public safety building to be able to reach that as well? So that's something when Adam comes from Frontline Plus, we can talk to him about, here's potential growth, here's what we're looking at. What do we need to do for coverage? Because he can throw that siren up anywhere and create that map right away. Our biggest complaint is right now, the industrial park. That and then up by the schools, north end, are the two heaviest populated areas during the day. They have the sound has a hard time crossing over 160.
Yeah, we had an officer
Yeah.
at the industrial park at Phillips on a day that it was somewhat windy and couldn't hear McDonald's.
I totally get that, because we're right where 169 and 95, and can be really loud out at our place.
On the road, yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, just the noise.
I mean, the spot that we're looking to put, obviously, we're really trying to focus on where there's already power there to try to offset some of those expenses.
Okay, and this might be a dumb question, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. Sometimes in the winter, we go like 2 weeks without seeing the sun at all. Like, we seriously do. We just had 2 weeks with no
Right.
sun not that long ago. How would that affect this if it went 2 weeks with no,
If we just had solar,
yeah,
and I did ask Adam that, and I brought up the fact that we have our sign trailer, our speed trailer. And his explanation was that trailer's constantly having a light flipping through, so it's constantly using power off the batteries. Whereas the siren and the cabinet, all it's doing is looking for a wavelength. So if Mille Lacs County hits the button, that's all it's looking for. It's not continuously providing information and everything. So it draws a lot less power on its solar powered equipment.
okay.
But we still have the concern of 2 weeks with no sun, all clouds. The battery's not charged up, it doesn't work. So that's what,
Our request on that was give us some communities in different parts of the state, because different parts of the state have different cloud cover at different times of the year. And so we have a better collective understanding of
Okay.
will it work?
Can we do this in a couple of parts? So the upgrade part, what does everybody think about that? That's not really a vote, but what's the consensus? For the two, we're good with the
Yeah.
upgrade. So now we're just trying to decide what to do with the third siren, right? Well,
Well,
the
I-
fourth one, but third one is good.
Think we need to buy it. Can we decide later if we want to add the solar on it, or?
yes, we can put solar on later. I don't have a cost of what it would cost to add it later on, because you have to run the wire and stuff. But we could certainly add solar later on if we wanted to.
If we want to, okay.
I don't know if it would be redundant to have electrical power and solar.
And we might have more, like, we're hoping to make some phone calls and try to get a better understanding of the solar piece, along with obviously getting him out here to, I think some things maybe do change quite a bit in regards to once we get him out here and we move this thing around a little bit and see what best fits us.
Yeah, can you see, I mean, if you were to add it later, what that would cost?
Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I think what staff's looking for right now is authorization to essentially spend up to 50,000, 45 from the CIP that's been budgeted, 5,000 out of the emergency management operation to basically upgrade the two cabinets for two existing sirens, and then figure out the best place for a fourth siren. And I know the three amigos of the emergency management team will be very creative and do their research and make the best selection in terms of whether it's solar or electrical. And I'm pretty sure they can stay within budget.
Yeah, I guess it all just depends upon where you're putting it. I mean, if you put a public safety building, there's really no need for solar
Right.
at all, you know? But if it's somewhat remote, then solar is dependable, then that's works too.
And that's why we have Adam coming out, 'cause his knowledge. just visible, so he can place it. You know, we wanna make sure that we're getting the right coverage, cause when you upgrade cabinets on the two, that's gonna change coverage areas. We won't wanna overlap too much, we might need later on for future growth.
Right now, we're looking for a motion to approve $50,000.
To upgrade the two cabinets of the existing sirens, purchase a fourth/third. 45 is budgeted in the CIP and the other 5 will come from the emergency management operating budget.
Okay, so moved.
Okay.
Motion made and seconded, discussion. The third siren, the one in the red circle,
Yes,
is that upgraded already?
it is already, yes.
Okay. So there's not an upgrade on that one and magically cover more space either.
No,
Okay. All right, any other questions? All right, the motion's 50,000 to do all these things. All in favor?
Aye.
Right, opposed? All right, that carries. Do your magic,
thank you.
people. 3 meters. All right, what do we got? Where do the bill list? We're almost there.
Always giving up.
Yeah. Can't believe it.
I have no question.
It was a refreshingly light bill. Like, as far as the numbers go, you know, there's a big stack, but lots of little ones.
It was 200,000 a year.
There's an
Spend
extra.
money to make money, right, Kelly?
Yeah, she is good, mister. Tell you what, mister.
I move to approve the March 20th, 2024 check register containing checks 88033 to 88086 in the amount of $219,879.81. And the payroll electronic payments as noted on the pay period 6th grade criminal register in the amount of $83,600.92. And pay period 6th check register in the amount of $199,628.07.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions on the bill list? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Carries. Bi-weekly report.
Relatively short this week. We are working through the airport stuff. We had a FAA MnDOT meet and greet on the 21st. And then Bob and I followed up yesterday with a conversation. So you'll see some changes and things shifting on the airport CIP the next time you see it. Baldwin Township, the public comment period ended last Friday at 4:30. We'll probably receive comments or copies of those, but we haven't seen them yet. We do have an orderly annexation agreement. That will be on the April 11th meeting. That is for the Schwartz property. We're still waiting for the cleanup orderly annexation agreement. Haven't seen that yet. We still have some interest in the 40-acre parcel west of the airport in Princeton Township. And so that is proceeding, we think. We've continued to meet weekly with Assistant Chief Vicari with the fire department. And I think things are going well there. We have scheduled for April 10th, neighborhood meeting at the Civic Center for the CASA 4 7th Avenue project. On Monday, I think we're going to talk with Jen on the postcard that will be mailed to the neighborhood, inviting them to that meeting. We still have legislative issues. I swear they're out of control up there, but new thing, potential reporting requirement for the public safety aid. Give Todd credit for being detail oriented, so that should be a simple report to fill out if it goes into effect. they're looking at some changes to the open meeting law requirements. Still working, and listening to the Congressman Emmer's monthly calls. We have, submitted, to Stauber's office, Emmer's office. And now Klobuchar is opening their congressionally dedicated requests for funding. We keep asking for money for the simulcast equipment. The school resource officers are back in play, schools. We still have to circle back with the superintendent on a new contract and the 2023 billing amount. And just remind everybody, you approved City Hall closing early on April 4th. That meeting will be at the Public Safety Building for the super secret tabletop. The three amigos are looking rather evil at the moment. Tabletop exercise, which I'm looking forward to participating in, so. I have no idea what they have planned. We should probably have cookies.
We should.
We already talked about that. We'll have, sugar for you
Okay, that's good.
We're gonna need it.
Yep,
and your computers.
And your computer, bring our computers. Okay.
okay.
All right,
All right.
Cords.
all right, thank you. Any questions for Michelle?
One-legged duck swimming circle.
Busy couple weeks.
At 5:09, we're to committee reports.
Well, I have park board in the chamber, but we talked about all these stuff.
Yeah.
I have nothing to report.
And the public utilities met, last Thursday, a little bit out of our normal routine schedule due to a commitment, Keith had, I believe, with MMUA, and had a very short meeting. We just had our regular business, probably a record.
I think it was 5 minutes. Seriously.
When I was
They didn't have any
sitting
agenda.
almost there 3 to 4 hours on. Yeah.
The second phase of the comp plan is, they were started to get going, but I suppose they're delayed a little bit now. I've seen the trucks around town, but we didn't talk about it. Okay, I'm gonna read a statement here from Keith. We also have some exciting news to share. Princeton Public Utilities, along with SIPA and its other 16 members, are proud to announce that we received the 2024 Energy Star Partner of the Year Award for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Each year, the Energy Star program honors a select group of organizations that have made outstanding contributions to energy efficiency and the transition to a clean energy economy. This is the 5th Energy Star Award given to SIPA and its members, including public utilities. So that's an honor, I guess. And then we are gonna have a big check photo op thing here on April 2nd. We have Rum River Automotive, Bright Child, Trinity Lutheran Church, and Rum River Residential.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
Welcome to adjourn.
Second.
Made in second, all in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed?